So he sums up the sum of the law, and another translation says all of the law and the prophets hinge on these two commandments. They hinge on this truth. So he summed up the entire Old Testament into two quick verses for us. So what is the heart, the soul, the mind, and strength? This is the order that he gives us here. I don't know that the order is necessarily important, but you'll see a progression as we go along here. The heart, now I start using my Vine's Bible dictionary. I haven't opened it in 10 years. Somebody gave it to me a long time ago. I never knew what it was for. And now I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, cool. So it's telling me what the heart is. The heart is the seat of the will, the seat of the emotions. They're not really talking about the organ that's pumping, 60, 80, 100 times a minute inside of your body. They're really talking about something deeper than that. What's that pain that you feel right here when you hurt? There's a physical pain that you feel in your chest, but there's nothing inside of your chest that, all of your intellect, all of your being, everything, if I understand it correctly, is contained within the brain itself, the organ of the brain. Yet there's obviously something else there. And there's the soul aspect. We'll get to that in a second. So the heart is the seat of the will or of emotion in the body. So in this verse, it's just what you think it is. Love the Lord your God with your emotions. Okay, that's what we're really talking about. We're really talking about your emotions. The love that you feel. I'm in love. This is what we feel. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel happy. I feel love. Love God with your emotions. Okay. What is the soul? I like the Amplified Bible. I pulled some of these verses from the Amplified Bible this week for you, so you can kind of hear. They throw in a lot of extra words, and me, that's the way my brain is wired. I like to dig into that and look at all the synonyms and get a real good picture of what's going on. So the soul is equated to your life. So now I'm looking up this Greek word in the little lexicon and seeing where in the Strong's number and everything else, trying to find out where this word is used. And soul and life are. Both of those words in English are translated from the original Greek word. I can't pronounce it for you. So your life, this is the eternal part of you. Your life, this is the soul. This is the part that exists after the body is put in the ground, or disintegrated, or lost, or burned up, or whatever. The soul is eternal, and it's man's destiny, right, to die once and then be judged, and then the soul is what lives past that point. And of course, then there's the new body, then there's the new heaven, the new earth, the body cast into outer darkness. So there is a bodily resurrection, but we're talking about the soul that's the eternal part. That's what sets us apart from the animal kingdom. We're made in the very image of God. Love the Lord your God with the very essence of your being. Okay, that's the soul. What's the mind? Well, again, the mind is just what you think it is. It's your intellect. It's where sensory data is interpreted. Is there a sound when a tree falls in the wood? Well, if no one's here to hear the tree falling, technically there's no sound, because sound is defined as the interpretation of the data that's coming through the inner ear. So if there's no sound wave and there's no ear, then there's no sound. So if there's a sound wave but there's nobody there to hear, if you're not interpreting those sound waves, then there's no sound. So we're interpreting sensory data. It's also where our intentions are conceived. So it's love the Lord your God with your every thought. Love the Lord your God with every intention. And then what is the strength? Again, very obvious definition: the might and the power. Strength. What you do. It's also discipline. It's action. So this is the actual playing out of everything that happens in the mind. So it came to me a couple of years ago that the battle with temptation is won and lost in the mind. Because when the decision is made, when you give in to the temptation of the body, the strength automatically follows. The body does exactly what the mind tells it to do. The mind says do this, the body does that. So we need to love God with every action, every deed, every work. Everything you do should be done to honor God. Okay? And what about loving your neighbor? Well, if you're loving God, then you understand that God demands that you love your neighbor and even your enemy. Love your enemy as yourself. Okay? So that's I tell you, it kind of blows my mind to think, how different would the world be if we really got this? If even most of the people got this, love your enemy. It's not their fault. Okay? They're quite blinded to the truth. I know guys up in D.C. that I work out with, and they just want to argue. They're just so blinded to the truth. But it's like, I got to see past that, and I got to love them. Okay? Because really, it's not their fault. It's the devil that's really got his hooks into them pretty deep. He's our enemy. And like I tell Devin, we're not obligated to love him. No. So backing up, we're all made to worship. So we all worship someone or something. And we all used to worship something other than God. Okay? And I dare say some of us still do. So let's look at James 1, 14 and 15. We need to recognize what wrongly placed worship looks like. Okay? But every person is tempted when he is drawn away, enticed, and baited by his own evil desire, lusts, and passions. Then the evil desire, when it has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully matured, brings forth death. Now you can see the parallel here to Mark's passage. Except we've got a different ordering here. We've got the heart, the mind, the strength, and the soul. In this case, I think the order is very important. Okay, so we're gonna go through this one by one. Okay, here's the heart. We're enticed or dragged away. Okay, something has appealed now to our emotions. We're dragged away. Well, what are we dragged away from? Well, we're dragged away from God. And of course, we're kicking and screaming because we know full well that God is a perfect Father. He wants the very best for us. And that the best place for us to possibly be is right near Him. No. It says we're dragged away by our own evil desire, our own lust. We want to think that we're the devoted canine, we're God's best friend. But no, it's our own heart that draws us away. Edwin Lewis Cole has been called the father of the Christian men's movement. He was very active in, I guess, the 70s and 80s. His book is called Maximized Manhood. Incredible book. Every man in this room should read that book. Okay? He defines lust this way: satisfying self at the expense of God and others, the preoccupation with what self wants, the satisfaction or gratification of the flesh. Basically, I want what I want it now. Okay? Now, anybody who's been around small children knows that this self-gratifying nature manifests itself very early in our development. Where does this lust come from? Well, I just told you, it comes from our own heart. Genesis 8:21. Never again will I curse the ground because of man. This is what happened right after the flood, right? Never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every inclination of his heart is evil from childhood. Wow. Matthew 15:19. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. And there's plenty more verses. Wow. I wasn't expecting to hear that. But, I mean, again, being blinded by the prince of this age, the prince of the world. That's Satan. He's, what did we learn in Revelation a couple weeks ago? Woe to you, earth, for Satan has come down to you. He gets kicked out of heaven, and now he's here with us. Woe to you, earth. So that's the heart. Now let's look at the mind. We take the bait, and the desire takes root in our mind. And now we start to make decisions. We start to think about, hey, what could happen next? We start scheming. Okay, we start looking for ways to get more of whatever it is that we desire, that we want. So now the mind is engaged. And now moving on to the strength, we start acting on these desires. And we experience satisfaction and we want more. When you have something good, you want more. I want some more of that peanut butter bliss smoothie that Suzanne makes out there in the coffee shop. That is good stuff. I want some more. And then after a while, my tummy starts to feel bad because it's got way too much sugar in it. So yeah, right, sin is pleasurable for a season, right? So we begin acting on those desires. And this is our strength now. We experience more. We experience this satisfaction, and we want more of that. We start going out of our way for another fix. We turn into addicts. We're looking for these pleasure patterns now, where we're establishing this pattern